Hello everybody, how's it going today? Glowplasma 231 here, back in today to about Kagurabachi, chapter number 98. This chapter is titled Ikuto Hagiwara, Worthless Commander. And to be fair, if you guys do not know who this chapter is about based on the chapter title of this chapter, then I completely do not blame you. Again, this chapter is titled The Worthless Commander. Oh, who could that be? Who has led a squad to their death? Oh yeah, it's Ikuto Hagiwara. It told us the two words before, the words worthless commander there, right? But of course, I do not blame any Kagurabachi fan if they sat down and they opened up this chapter like, wait, why is this guy back all of a sudden? Because legitimately, whenever I was thinking about what was going to be happening in this chapter of Kagurabachi, if you would have told me that we would have gotten an entire chapter all about Ikuto Hagiwara going through how he is now clinically insane after watching all of his childhood friends perish in front of him to the hands of the Cloud Gouger Enchanted Blade, and then see that he goes and deals what I'm not guessing to be lethal damage, but a lot of very good damage to the Hishaku member who has the vessel properties inside of them now. I would have not believed you that was what this chapter is going to be about. But you know what? Here we are now in that reality where, yeah, I wouldn't have believed you, but I thought it was been pretty damn cool. And here in this chapter, it is extremely cool the way that Ikuto comes out of nowhere and becomes, honestly, just a really awesome character throughout the process of this chapter of Kagurabachi, right? But of course, we're going to talk about this chapter and just how cool Ikuto is. Let me quickly catch you guys all up on what happened last time in Kagurabachi. And last time, very simply, we had this entire chapter mainly focusing on this idea of the vessel who's able to control the force field of the Kabanabi headquarters, right? We understand like the main core force field guy who we've seen throughout the entirety of this raid on the Kabanabi HQ arc so far. He pretty much had the ability, he'd like eat this scroll that pretty much said the words like realms upon realms on it, right? He had to eat it. He lost his vital organs and his ability to reproduce and all this other various stuff, eventually leading him to be able to take all of this spirit energy it's created through like heat transfer and all of these other various weird and wacky things, and eventually he can control the Kabanabi's force field, right? But of course, in case this guy dies, the Kabanabi had a spare pretty much force field thingy-mabob made to turn our person into a vessel. And of course, being that Kasen is a bad guy, he gave that to the Hishaku, and currently one of the Hishaku members has it. Of course, it's either Hokuto, Bingo, Uran, Talo, or Dale. Dale's the strongest Kabanabi guy, or not strongest, the strongest Hishaku guy that we know about, right? Hokuzono, give us names for some of these characters, because as you'll learn, oh no, I'm almost spoiling the chapter for you guys, one of the two unnamed one has the scroll inside of them, and they are the vessel, right? Which really makes for an interesting thing when we just sit down here and think about, yeah, it would be cool if we knew his name, right? But either way, the end of last chapter was this really big whole idea of like, hey, we need to find out who this vessel is quick and take them out so Chihiro and Samura can make it down and help us out in the Kabanabi headquarters, right? And of course, with that big cliffhanger, where else do we start off this chapter? Then with a flashback, where we see that Ikuto is standing with all of the various members of the anti-Cloud Gouger Special Forces. In case all of you forgot who these characters were, let me just quickly remind you of all of their names, and in the process of that, remind myself of all of their names as well, right? Of course, the commander was Ikuto Hagiwara. Kazane Machi was the only other one to survive besides for Ikuto, and he has been memed to high hell pretty much in the Kagurabachi fan community. The girl of the group is Shiumi Harima. Yeah, she's dead now, but she was a woman, right? The guy with the really weird, like, big poke stick-looking mask's name is Hajime Kugara. He will be very important in this chapter, actually. The big guy who sort of wore the respirator, his name was Kiyohiko Uzuki. And the other guy sort of had the line drawn over his nose and over his face pretty much. His name was Makoto Kasahara, right? Well, pretty much, we open up this chapter with Ikuto standing here in a boardroom with all of these other guys, and he's just like, hey, grunts, get a load of this, right? As we see that out of his hand, he's producing this almost like black material. It's almost like looks grainy in this sort of like respect, and it's flying up out of his hand here in the moment, right? And we see that Shiyumi just says like, oh, what is that? Like, is it black pepper or something like that, right? And Kugara is just like, ha ha ha, it's gotta be some black sesame or something like that, you know what I'm saying, right? As Ikuto's like, no, it's hired sand pretty much. And we even see that some of the other guys here in the moment, mainly Uzuki, is just like, hey, don't call us grunts here in the moment. And Kasahara's like, what do you mean, like iron sand? And at the same point, Kazane just looks over to Hajime and just is like, what do you mean black sesame, right? Like, what are you talking about, right? But either way, Ikuto just is like, hey, it's iron sand, and I actually want to sew a bunch of it into all of your clothes. And Ikuto just explains like, hey, with my magnetic powers, you all should be able to move freely. And of course, Yumi's like, so what do you mean? Like, we'll be able to fly? That's sort of awesome, you know what I'm saying? As Ikuto just is like, hey, I will personally make sure that none of you are hit. And Shifumi's like, hey, but like, if you go down, Ikuto, aren't we all screwed pretty much? Like, we'll go down if you go down, right? And Ikuto's like, yes, that is true. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, hey, but here's the thing. I'm the captain. I'll make sure that none of you die before me. As the Anti-Cloud Gouger Special Forces, your lives are my responsibility. And of course, we end this flashback with just a few panels of Sojo decimating, of course, the special forces here. He cut down Shiyumi in the moment. He blew a hole in Hajime Kugara's side. Kyoto Uzuki pretty much just got, like, his neck got ripped open pretty much, right? And Kasahara, there's really not too much to say about Kasahara here in the moment, right? But either way, Ikuto just remembers all of the deaths of these people who were so important to him. As we get to chapter title, Chapter 98, Ikuto Hagiwara, Worthless Commander. As we see that Ikuto is just laying on a hospital bed in the Kabanabi headquarters, right? As he's just laying there and he's almost talking to himself, just being like, yeah, everyone knows I nearly got all my troops killed and my unit obliterated. And as we see, he's sort of talking to somebody else. He is talking to the animated mask of Kugura here in the moment. And the mask of Kugara just says like, hey, how am I going to sit there and snivel pretty much? Like, come on, get up, right? And Ikuto's like, no, shut up, you know what I'm saying, right? And he's like, get up and do what? Like, I'm a failure. We're all just better off if I just lie here forever. And we see that somebody from the headquarters just walks in, and I remember just is like, excuse me, and sort of looks at a full tray of food that lays next to Ikuto on the bed, right? And Ikuto turns around and is like, oh, yeah, I'm done with the food, right? As you see that this member of the Kabanabi just walks in and grabs out the tray of food and is walking it down a hall. And we see that he's pretty much talking with another member of the Kabanabi. I'm pretty much just going to call him the old guy is the one that walked into the room, and the younger one is the one who's just talking to the old guy here in the hallway, right? As the young guy's like, yeah, it's really unbearable just watching him like that. I mean, he lies there constantly mumbling to himself. Like, apparently he's talking with his partner, and according to all the doctors, he's unconsciously animates Kugara's mask with sorcery. He's interacting with a figment of his imagination. And he's like, I mean, but even though, like, he still seems to know that Kugara is actually dead, but, like, his whole awareness is a little murky here in the moment, right? Well, either way, it's understandable. All of those troops he lost, they all went back more than a decade even. And I mean, especially Ikuto and Kugara. From what I heard, I think they were like friends since he was like 5 years old. Like, really no wonder Ikuto can't accept any of it. He was like, hey, I mean, the only consolation is that Kazane, the newest member of that squad, actually survived. And of course, like here in the moment, finally the old guy gets in a word being like, oh, and all of that stuff, that was his iron sand, right? And the young guy's just like, yes, it seems like he wove all of it into all of his troops' clothing, and apparently it comforts him to have it scattered around the bed on him, pretty much. It's almost like it's still for a way for him to be with all of them, pretty much, right? Like, I mean, hey, he was just a really talented guy. Now just look at him. It's honestly just really sad. He doesn't seem like he'll be able to fight for a while. And with this little bit of an exposition about, like, hey, here's how Ikuto's been doing since we saw all of his friends got murdered in whatever chapter that happened in, right? We just see the iron sand that's forming Kugara's mask is just looking down at Ikuto, being like, hey, Hagiwara, you haven't eaten anything lately. And Hagiwara's like, no, I don't have any appetite, man. He's like, hey, but if you don't eat, you're gonna die. Like, you don't want to die here, do you? Like, nobody wants to die. Like, I die. He doesn't say that, but it'd be really funny. He's like, I died, and you see where I am right now. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you die, your sand will, like, repossess your body. I don't know, man. But either way, Ikuto is just like, nah, man, I don't care. Kugara's mask is like, hey, but that's a really dumb way to go. Like, if we're going to go down, let's go down fighting like warriors. And Ikuto's like, no, I'm never going to fight again. They don't need incompetent warriors out there on the battlefield. I might as well just rot away just like this. As all of a sudden, over the loudspeakers all across the Kabanami HQ, there's a message that's played. Enemy attack! Level 1 is now free to move. All non-combatants move down to level 3 immediately. And of course, here in a minute, Kugara's master's like, hey, now that ain't true. This is your chance to fight, man. Well, in the moment, we now just see, of course, Izuru downstairs talking with the main sensory guy. As Izuru's just like, hey, to recover the force field, the second vessel must be exterminated. It's one of the Hishaku. And he's just like, hey, can you identify who it is? And the core vessel just is like, hey, I'm trying to, but the Shinichi's power is just way too strong. It's interfering with my visual field. As we just see the Izuru's just like, damn it, like, come on, hurry up. For now, just kill the Hishaku. Reigns over the loudspeakers all across the building. As we see where the two Hishaku members currently are, Bingo and Uran. And of course, they are facing off against this Hishaku member, or not this Kabunabi member, who last time we saw him like he had this whole thing of like a comb in his hair, and it seemed like he was getting ready to go through and like willingly sacrifice his life for the greater good in the moment, pretty much. It was a little bit of a weird thing that we saw there. But this Kabanami guy walks up, and Bingo and Uran are looking like they're ready to have a great time to completely decimate this guy. But as Haircomb guy is walking towards Bingo and Uran, somebody else walks out in between them, and we see it's none other than Ikuto with Kugara's animated mask. As we see the Haircomb guy, just like, oh, Hagiwara, you're still... As Hagiwara just thinks like, hey, you all died for our country. Well, I'm sorry, I was a worthless commander, but I want to make this sacrifice for you. As Ikuto just yells out, I'm doing this, as we see that he looks over towards where Bingo and Uran are, but all of a sudden, he just gets frozen in place. As of course, Uran has used her sorcery to freeze him here in the moment. And now Bingo is sending a demon bite at him, and oh no, it goes down and it chomps down on Ikuto, and oh no, that's not very good. It looks like blood splatter comes out, but no, oh, that's actually just iron sand. And we see the iron sand Ikuto kept wrapped around his clothes explodes out, shattering all of the ice here in the moment, and also puncturing many spikes through the Mako as well. As pretty much Uran just looks and thinks like, oh, iron sand, I guess it was hidden in his clothes. As at this point, we cut over to a doctor, and this doctor's pretty much talking about Ikuto's condition, and he's just like, oh, yes, I diagnosed that boy. I mean, to be honest with you, he's not in his right mind. I mean, do you know what he even told me? He just said that as everything was starting to go black, he saw a person's shadow, As of course we remember that underneath the ground, Ikuto, or underneath pretty much in the big battle, Ikuto was thrown underneath all of this water pretty much, and he was pretty much trapped under a rock, and he said that he saw a hand coming down to reach out and grabbed him, and that Kugara grabbed me, and pulled me back up to the shore. And of course, whenever Ikuto got up to the shore, he sees that Kurigara's mask is just destroyed there on the ground, pretty much, right? And the doctor just explains, like, hey, if we look back at what happened, he would have had to claw his way all the way back up to the shore himself. Like, the psychological trauma probably conjured this fantasy of Kurigara in his mind. Even though, seeing his condition, most people would probably conclude that Hagiwara's career is over. But isn't the very essence of sorcery the natural circulation of spirit energy without conscious mediation? I think that in Hagiwara's current state, he interacts with his own sorcery almost as if it was another person. It's the epitome of subconscious control. As here in the moment, Ikuto's just like, hey, let's do this, Kugara. As of course, we just see the animated mask with the iron sand flows around it here in the moment. And Kugara's like, hey, yeah, let's go. And we just see that they're going through and getting ready to completely destroy Uran and Bingo. As the doctor says, strangely enough, though, in his current state, there's no one more suited for battle. As we see that Ikuto is getting ready to run towards Uran and Bingo, all of a sudden, he just falls to the ground. And Kugara's like, hey, Hagiwara, what are you doing, right? But of course, the Mako Demon Bite weight symbol flies above Ikuto's head now, and he's like, oh no, my body feels so heavy. What is this? As Ikuto just remembers the announcement over the loudspeaker of like, hey, there's another vessel. It's one of the Hashaku. As Ikuto just thinks like, oh, well, we just have to kill the target, right? That's easy. Easy, I say. As we just get a little bit of narration that reads, magnetic resonance imaging applies a powerful magnetic field to the human body and uses the body's own magnetic properties to generate a visual of images of its internal structures. As here in the moment, Ikuto's eyes are going bloodshot red as he just thinks like, hey, tell me, Kugara, where are they? As he pretty much uses this same function of an MRI machine to scan the entirety of the Kabunabi headquarters. He scans the entire thing. As we get more narration just saying, by manipulating a gigantic magnetic field, we can scan the internal organs of the people throughout the Kabunabi headquarters. As we just see Kugara's mask looking all around until he sees it, the scroll that says realms upon realms, hidden inside the kid who Yura called the strongest Hashaku member, Lucas, Dale, Carlos, whatever you want to call him. I call him Dale because I think it's a little bit more funny than the rest of them. But we just see there the scroll is inside him, and Ikuto, still laying on the ground, points his arm forward as high up as he can and just screams, impale him! As Kugara just goes, okay! As we just see, all of a sudden, the iron sand mask of Kugara with that point on the tip of it pierces through multiple floors of the headquarters, as Bingo's just like, seriously, what's up with this guy? And as we see all of this destruction going on, we finally see the ground right below Dale start to fracture and crumble as iron sand seeps in through this crack here in the moment. And we get this full page spread where Kugara just goes through and pierces straight through the stomach of the Hashaku member here in the moment. Dale flies up into the air, and Kugara's mask is covered in a splattering of blood and guts of the inside of Dale's stomach. As here in the moment, both Kugara and Ikuto laugh menacingly as Ikuto just says, we've still got it, partner. And that's where we end this chapter of Kagurabachi on this absolutely amazing note of, oh my gosh, I don't believe he did it. This is absolutely incredible. Ikuto, I love you. Kugara, I love you. I need my mentally insane men now. I need Hokuto and Ikuto to go fight each other. It can be the Kuto battle all here in a moment. I love my crazy Kagurabachi characters. Let me just say that. After this chapter, Ikuto, you're definitely top 10 in my Kagurabachi ranking scale. I love this guy. This is such a good chapter of Kagurabachi, man. I love focusing on one of these characters from the early days of Kagurabachi, being Ikuto, and just going through, getting all this narration from these people being like, yeah, he's washed, he's done, like, there's no way he'll ever fight again. Until eventually, Doctor's like, actually, he's really strong right now. And Kugara just being this agent of chaos in Ikuto's mind going through. It looks like, oh, they're getting ready to go through and fight Uran and Bingo. And no, they're actually just going through to save the day here. And if I had to guess what actually happens here, we do not see the tip of Kugara's spike on top of his mask, pretty much. And I'm guessing what happened whenever he goes through and pierces through Dale is that on the very end of the spike, the scroll is sort of impaled on top of there, meaning that Dale isn't currently a vessel anymore. He got that part removed from his body, meaning that now Chihiro and Samura can come into the headquarters and do their thing, pretty much, right? And I feel like it's a very deliberate move on Hokuzono's part not to show us the tip of the spike into 2 panels after Kugara pierces through this, for the main reason of, like, yeah, it just is going to be so much cooler whenever we see it next chapter of, like, oh yeah, Ikuto actually just saved the day here, and now Samura and Chihiro can get here and do all of their things, pretty much, right? Either way, I don't know what to say about this chapter. It was just so much fun. Like, this is one of my favorite types of Kagurabachi chapters, where characters just get reintroduced into the story. Like, of course, with Ikuto, we knew his whole thing. Like, I honestly cannot wait until we see Kazane do something again, because I know we're going to get another recontextualization of his character that'll actually hopefully make me like him, because, like, I didn't like him from the beginning, and even though, like, all the Twitter community is like, oh my gosh, Kazane, potential man, he's gonna go crazy whenever he shows back up. Like, you guys should have given all of this credit to Ikuto. Like, I love my crazy Ikuto guys. Like, it's just sort of how it goes there, right? But with all of that being said, this was an amazing chapter of Kagurabachi, and I legitimately just can't wait till next week when we get to chapter 99. Oh, it's so crazy. We're almost at chapter number 99 of Kagurabachi. That's just absolutely insane, right? But if you did enjoy this video, I have talked about Kagurabachi plenty of other times on this YouTube channel. Mainly, I've got a video playlist with a bunch of other Kagurabachi videos that I've created. I'll have that linked in the description box and on the end card of this YouTube video, so go check out all of that stuff there. I mean, hey, if you want to hear my thoughts on the early chapters whenever Ikuto originally showed up in Kagurabachi, I think some of my old videos on just like those issues of Weekly Shonen Jump before I started covering Kagurabachi Weekly, you can probably go find those somewhere. I mean, just like look up wherever Ikuto like first showed up and go find the issue of Weekly Shonen Jump that was in, and I may have a video on it. I honestly don't remember if I was covering this back in the day, right? But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh, if you want to hear some of my other thoughts on Kagurabachi as well, I am on a podcast called the Kabanabi Headquarters. I know, very proper time for me to finally bring that up. I know I've got it past 2 videos, but oops, my bad. But yeah, either way, I'll catch you guys next time for Kagurabachi chapter number 99. Again, this was chapter number 98, titled Ikuto Hagiwara, Worthless Commander. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I'll catch you guys next time. This will be Glowplasma, signing out.